Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking about Ascendance of a Bookworm, Chapter 2, Life Improvements and Slates. But before we do that, I do want to give a big thank you to my boy @NachoGashardo for sharing last week's Bookworm video, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Bookworm video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me @JojoTalksTooMuch over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's Bookworm video. But with that said, I want to talk about three things in particular when it comes to this week's episode. I would like to talk about the aesthetic of the show once again. I would like to talk about the cleverness that is Maine, and I would like to talk about the cast, in particular, Otto. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Otto, because I have feelings that I need to gush about. Okay, so here we go. Otto is the first husbando of the autumn season. I almost said spring, because this man got me all kinds of messed up, okay? Otto is the first husbando of autumn. Autumn for Otto, Otto for autumn. I am here for Otto. I was shocked how quickly I was like, yes, this character is my boy. I need this, okay. I heard a friend of the channel, Ami Yoshiko, in a video say, like, oh, man, I wish they had, like, anime adoption papers so I could adopt some best boys. And I was like, I wish they had marriage certificates so I could marry my husbandos and my waifus. And Otto is the first person I thought of when I was thinking. Like, as soon as I saw Otto, I was like, I got to marry Otto. I got to have my boy. Otto is just wholesome. As soon as he's introduced, I was like, please be a good one. Please be a clever, fun character to see on screen, and he is. I love his character design. I love his personality. I love his impact on the show thus far, because it's pretty big when you think about it. And I'm here for it. I love that his name is a pun. Otto, aka Otto-san, aka Otto-san. I loved that Mine calling him like Otto-san, like got our man Gunther upset because he was like, I'm her dad. What is happening? I hate this. I hate this immediately. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm here for this. I am here for a kind-hearted soul of a man. Like, what a wonderful cinnamon roll of a human being. I just love that he's even got like this good sense of humor. Like, his first real moment in the show is him laughing. Like, he's just laughing at the idea of like Mine like wanting to buy a book because it's such like a ridiculous concept for him, or like her trying to buy paper because like kids just don't do that. So of course for him he's like, what? That's silly. But he doesn't like tell her that she is silly. He just thinks the idea is silly. And then he's very encouraging. He's like, hey, you know, I can't get you paper, but I can get you a slate, which is kind of like a chalkboard type thing. And he's like, if you want to learn how to write and read, I can totally teach you how to do that. And she, like, of course, Mine's like, friggin' yes, please. And he's such a sweet dude that he's like, sure, of course, like, I can totally do that. I'll give you my slate, which I'm assuming probably didn't come cheap. So my boy is just going out of his way to help just this kid who wants to learn to read and write because he's just a genuine human being. He's got a good sense of humor. He's got a good heart, and he's handsome. I'm here for Otto. I love Otto. Want more of Otto, please. And he even was there to help Mine when she was like when she had to wake up from being unconscious, when she passed out. He's the first person there because he's like, hey, your dad brought you over here. He was so worried about you, and I told him that I would take care of you until they got back from the, I can't remember what it's called, but whatever festival they were at. And I was like, what a good dude. He's like the best dude. He's so far, he is the husbando of the season. And I know some people are gonna be like, really, Otto? Yes, Otto. Okay, I'm glad I got that off my chest. I had to gush about my boy Otto. In fact, I'm probably gonna make my boy the thumbnail because Otto is he's just the GOAT. He's just the husbando of the season. I think I might just be getting excited because I haven't had a waifu or a husbando this season yet. Like, I haven't had that, like, oh my god, I love this character. Not quite yet, anyway. We haven't really had too many shows out just yet, so I think that's fair. But yeah, Otto was just the first of like the husbando / waifu characters that has shown up, so I got like really excited. I was like, oh yay, this character. But Otto wasn't the only character introduced this week. There are many other characters. We even get to meet, we get a better glimpse at Papa Gunther. Gunther's a good man. Gunther is like, I can already just tell by looking at it, like, he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's also another genuine dude. The soldiers in this show so far, like the guards, like the ones guarding the gate, good folk, good genuine folk, and Gunther's a good dad. Gunther might be dad of the season because he's just a genuine dude. He's a hardworking dad. He's got a good sense of humor. He loves his kids, but at the same time, he knows when to be like, no. Like when Mayan is like, hey, can please buy me like paper, which he knows is expensive. So he's like, no, he doesn't get he doesn't get our hopes up, and he doesn't like, he's not cruel about it, but he's just like, no, we can't do that because like paper or parchment is really expensive, and it's not really something that commoners can get. Like, I love you, sweetheart, but that's not happening. And he's just a very genuine dude. I really, really like Gunther so far. And the man's got cool hair, and he's just a tank, a beast of a man. And I just think he's rad. I think he is rad and best dad. That's right, I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. But it was nice getting to know the dad a little bit more, because I felt like we got to know much more about the mom and the sister by now. So it was like, at least in the premiere. So by the second episode, it's nice to actually have a little bit more spotlight on the dad, and we also shine a spotlight on the family's friends. I wrote down the names because I would have definitely forgot. It is Lutz, Ralph, and Faye, and they are good lads, although I will say that Faye is another character who we don't really get to know a whole bunch about. I believe he is the cousin of Ralph and Lutz is the younger brother of Ralph. Now, Ralph has a crush on Mine's sister, whose name is escaping me. Do you see why I have to write names down? But Ralph has a crush on Mine's sister, and I was like, that is adorable. That is just, again, very wholesome. I was like, oh, look at this wholesome ass crush that he has on the girl, and she probably has on, I think she has on him as well. Wholesome stuff. And Mine notices that Lutz is like clearly trying to be like, no, I can also, like, I'm also charming and I like Mine. Mine's like, that's cute. The only thing about that is I'm like, okay, it's cute, right? But Mine was very clearly like a grown adult in the other world before jumping over. And I think they established that Lutz and Mine are the same age and it's pretty young. So when Lutz says like, oh, your hair smells really nice, and with your hair parted to the back, you can actually see more of your face. You're really pretty. I was like, well, that's a very charming, what a charming young man, what a good young man, what a good lad. But at the same time, Mine getting flustered, I was like, he's like 5. What's the matter with you? The trio, like the family friends, they're good kids. Just, again, the show is so wholesome. It just warms my heart. It warms my icy cold heart how dang wholesome the show's cast continues to be, and the aesthetics match it perfectly. Did you see that segue? It was smooth until I pointed it out. Because yes, we're gonna talk about the aesthetics now since I wanted to point it out, because the world is still as pretty as ever. It's just as pretty as it can be. This show, given the fact that we're still in like the peasants area of the world, I'm shocked just how much I'm like constantly marveling at the background art, marveling at just like the setting and everything, and I'm just like, wow, like look how much effort went into this, like look how much work went into just the background art. It's got this painted style, it just looks great. You guys know me, I love me some background art. I feel like it's the unsung hero of many an anime, and here it is great, it is brilliant, I friggin' love it. And an especially good touch, and I noticed this like right away, I thought this was clever, is when the characters realize that winter is coming. When they realize this, the background art and the characters themselves, like everything is sort of like washed out a little bit, and you see the characters are like everything's not like grim dark, but everything sort of has this like, it's weighed down. It's like the color lost some saturation as we realize that the good times are coming to a close, that autumn, like the last final good time before winter comes. And if you're a peasant, winter ain't fun. But I like that like the world reflects that, and I was like, whoa, like that's such a neat touch. I thought that was so clever. I also like that the characters have to like prepare for winter, because yeah, if you lived in a peasant's district, that would be a thing that you have to do every autumn. So yeah, again, like the aesthetic of the show, it just matches everything so well. And yes, that goes into both the aesthetics of the show itself, like the background art, the whole book aesthetic, which is ever present, but also like when Mine points out like, look at this rainbow haired squad, and I was like, yo, Mine, relax. You also have rainbow hair. Your hair is blue, okay? But I like that she points out like everybody in this world has like crazy colored hair. Like she actually, it's a point that she has to say like everyone in this world has like really colorful hair. And I thought that was fun. I'm like, yeah, I like that they point out that like the character art as well is also very like vibrant and bright, but the hair itself is very like intense with lots of colors. And that of course extends into the whole chibi art thing. The chibi art in the show is still toppest tier. I think it's probably the best chibi art like cutaway gag things I've seen in anime in a long time. Can you tell that I love the aesthetic of this friggin' show? There's a lawnmower that's been going on outside and it's killing me. For the sake of not having this video go too long, I am gonna try to wrap up my thoughts, and also that lawnmower won't go away. I don't know if you guys can hear the lawnmower sound, but it's driving me crazy. But for the sake of not going too far over time, I'm gonna quickly wrap up my thoughts and talk about the last thing I wanted to talk about in this week's episode, and that is the cleverness of Mine. Mine's history of being a bookworm comes into play in so many different ways in this show. And in this particular episode, seeing her realize that she can use the oils from the fruits that they bought in order to use it as shampoo was actually like genuinely, I was like, wow, like how did you, like it was clever, right? But I'm like, what book were you reading that you realized that you could do that? But then it's addressed because she says like, I used to do that all the time back in the real world. I used to do that. I used to make my own shampoo using fruit oils. And I was like, whoa, like that's such a cool, like she's so... If this were me, I was in this situation, I would just be screwed. Like, I would just be point blank screwed. Mine is so abundantly clever, and it, again, like I said, it comes up in these really neat ways, like with the whole fruit oil thing as shampoo. I would have never thought of that. But it's such a cool moment, and it again ties into like later on in the episode when they meet up with the family friends, and it's such a cool little thing. But also the fact that she's smart enough to realize that she can use papyrus instead of paper or parchment, and then she passes out because of the whole pig thing, which was interesting, but I don't really have a whole lot of time to talk about it. But it like she passes out because of that and totally forgets about the papyrus thing, which I was like, okay, so I like that our character isn't so clever that it's to the point where she's OP. She just genuinely totally forgot. And again, she forgot because she has that moment with Otto where Otto teaches her how to write, and it actually gets kind of emotional when she realizes like, oh, this is what my name looks like. And the written language is cool. It's like this sort of like very triangle-esque sort of language. It's neat looking. But like when she's writing down her name, she writes down Motosu Urano and then realizes that's not who she is anymore. Again, like the show is so wholesome, right? It's so abundantly sweet, but when it needs to, it hits you in the feels like a truck. And that scene was so well done. I thought that was so impressively, like, it just hit because it's a thing with isekai that we so rarely talk about. Like, or at least like get to see, is like her inhabiting the body of somebody else and realizing that her past life is over. And she's in this totally new family, trying to get her bearings, realizing that her past life is just that, past. She's not able to go back to it, and she's going to try to make the most of what she has. And Mine might be one of my favorite main characters in any isekai so far. Like, I just adore this main character. I love Otto. I love the cast. I think the world is super pretty. I think the ideas are so fun. It's just, you know what it is? I think it's maybe like if I stepped back, and once the show is done and I like set it beside other isekai, maybe it doesn't hold up quite as well. Maybe like against other isekai, I just prefer other ones to this one. Like I'm sure I'd prefer Konosuba to this one. I'm sure I prefer Digimon to this one. But it's just so abundantly sweet, so refreshing and different that I just can't help but continue to love this show. We're only on episode 2. And I'm already just like hook, line, sinker, I'm in. On that note, everybody, if you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed this week's episode, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is an A-tier second episode. I loved it, loved it, loved it, and yes, most of that comes from the fact that I think Otto is just the best. On that note, everybody, that just about wraps everything up, but before we go, as always, I want to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Ginkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, and Verdun. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and hey, if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then by all means go ahead and check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get for as little as $1 a month, and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But on that note, everybody, that's going to be a video, so I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't going to tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea and I will talk to you all again real soon.